Hey everybody, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is a market radar video and an update on the HPS watch list. It'll be two parts. The first part will go out. Second part will go into the members forum, the members area of the video. But basically we're going to take a look at the market conditions and update you on some of the setups for this week. Just a review for today. Again, this is Wednesday going into Thursday. So today we had a pretty much a down day. Market got some selling. We're going to go over that. S&P was down 14. The Dow was down 162, and the Nasdaq's down 37. There's still a lot of focus on Greece right now. So a lot of Greece news kind of weighing on the market. And then we had Carl Icahn selling his Netflix shares today, and also making some comments about the market being overheated, and that caused some pressure in the markets too. So, we do have that as a one-day effect so far. And it did show up on the charts. It showed up on a lot of stocks. We started actually seeing some selling pick up later in the day, and that's usually not a great sign. You can see early morning we started off with this nice little pennant formation. We got that pop out of the pennant, got us back above the pivot for a second, and then we reversed, dropped out, we flagged out, and pushed back down, and we kind of made these series of, you can see the trend is really starting to take place, because what we're doing is we're seeing these fast rotations. A very fast rotation back on the fast stochastic topped us out on all occasions. It wasn't like, it was a very quick turn back up and then a drop off. So you can really time that perfectly pretty much the whole day. So we're going to also pay attention to that tomorrow. I mean, that is once you establish the trend, you could easily look at trading the trend to the downside. Same thing with the upside trend. If you have an upside trend, then you're looking at the, the overbought levels, or oversold levels, excuse me. And of course, you have the triple threats, will give you the bigger moves and the divergences, which we didn't really have today. So that's how we, it was kind of a straight down shot after we kind of just spiked and then rolled over. And at the end of the day, we kind of chopped around. And, just looking at, the beginning of the overnight session, I see some news crossing out the Greek. Let me get the news up here. Greece government holds the firm to its position. Greece meeting in Brussels is over. Just ended, and again, that was probably around 7:20 Eastern time. So they're going to pick it up again tomorrow morning and continue on with the negotiations and the bantering and the haggling going back and forth. And that's going to remain a focus point on the market. So positive news, probably a pop. Negative news, probably a drop. But it might be short-lived also, because this is so in focus now that it becomes it's more better just to look at the technicals. And we're going to look at those in a second. But just to, also, what I like to do is do a fast scan, and I have about 200 stocks now that I do. It's a good cross-section of the market that I pay attention to, and I like to run through these every night, and I just go through them with a visual on the daily, and I take a look, where some of the indicators are lining up, how these things are looking, basic. Normally I have the trend lines already set in, so I get to see how these things are setting up. So, again, out of the 200 stocks, here's Universal Health. These are very positive stocks. I have really good quality names that I pay attention to, and these quality names that we're all pushing high all got smacked down today. Look at the candles here in UHS, UTHR, big candle down. These were all very strong. Diplomat Pharmaceutical or Pharmacies, big down day. These are big smackdowns. Everything here across the board seems to have sold off. Even Lennar, home builder here, gapped up, sold off. Palo Alto Networks, great security. There was actually an upgrade on this one too, and it kind of got some selling and it's pulling back. So definitely feeling a little weakness in this market. And one of the common denominators as we're seeing on a lot of these charts are that the daily stochastics have been overbought and now starting to roll over. And if we could look at a lot of stocks, you'll even see JBHT, big smackdown today. All these have a very similar pattern that when you get overbought, you look for that downside move. You look for the recognizable pattern. You look for your special levels, the patterns within, channels within channels, and the moving averages, the stochastics, and when they all line up. But right now, this is actually lining up to the downside. Here we have this kind of a bearish flag, the little bounce back, but we had that rotation back up. We have the big candlestick. We have the retracement up against the trend line. Everything here pointing to maybe even a downside move. So that these are kind of bearish. And again, it could have been a little icon effect, a little grease effect. It becomes a little bit more difficult, but we are seeing, again, Home Depot, last time we kind of spiked up here, it was a pretty decent pullback. It wasn't that decent. I mean, it took a while, but it was, you could feel the pressure is against you when you start to roll over. And again, you could see that Home Depot's back up here and has the good potential rolling back over and actually moving a little lower. So we have to be very concerned. Nike the same way. ABBV, big down day. This could be the beginning of some downside. CVS, great stock, but also kind of extended and a pretty down candle today. So this is a little concerning. It's definitely a little concerning. These are just the underlying stocks. LUV actually still looks pretty good. You could actually see that the stochastics didn't really cross back down. This was really good. I expect this 60-minute time frame to rotate back down, and then you can see how we're pretty much going sideways here. So I like this a little bit better. I think technically it's okay unless we get a lot of pressure on the market due to news, and there's just a lot more selling at that point. But if not, this does technically looks pretty good. We've been on top of it on the divergence here, bought into it, and it's moved right up along, and it's kind of pulled back. So LUV, which is on the watch list, and I'm going to go over that on the next video, or part of this video, if you remember. There is some positive setups out there, Again, LUV happens to be one of them. But like I said, just going through a lot of these stocks, the CCL, Carnival Cruise Line, we did take that out. We sold into the highs of the session. It pulled back, and it's still choppy. It still looks good. Cellogen up here, extended. Airgas, Express Scripts. Again, we talked about be careful on that breakout. Lots of times they fade that. It comes right back, and it seems to be doing that. But all these are extended and slightly overbought, There's one thing about being in a rhythm in the markets. The other thing is not not paying attention to the, the signals that are given. I just feel that just a little bit more caution to the longs at this point. News is definitely a market mover. The Carl Icahn comments get stuck in your head for a little while, and maybe, about the market being overheated. But a lot of people are saying that, and they'll continue to say that until, someone will be close, and then they'll take credit for it, and we'll see what happens from that point. For most people, can't really call a market top, and at least, that's a skill that's pretty hard to come by. But I could see, something on the chart here telling us we got to be extremely cautious and just take in consideration the news that's out. If there's positive news, maybe that kind of trumps some of these bearish patterns. If there's negative news, maybe that helps it out. It's go either way on this. But the charts are all kind of negative. There's not many good ones except the ones we have on the HPS, and I'm going to go over those now for you. Google's actually acting okay. And one thing about Google, we're looking for this kind of flat line here to flatten out right underneath that the 90 area and the 80 level, kind of flat line. It looks like it's doing that. It's really tight, holding that 20-period moving average. It's hanging in there. 60-minute time frame is kind of coiled down. It's not a big flag or anything, but it's it's not much going on. It looks a little bit more healthier than. Great exit the other day on Priceline, and it continues to chop around. That was showing some strength earlier today, and then we take a look at the overall setup here. It's hung in there pretty good, so I think the base might be playing out here. And we're going to get to the other videos now. Just so one reminder, tomorrow is a Thursday, the 25th. I am actually going to. I think I'll be here in the morning. I might not even be. My son's getting out of school. I'm going to surprise him. We're taking him to a water park, so I'm going to actually have off tomorrow. I'm going to take off tomorrow. Paul's going to cover, and I'll be back on Friday, but not in time for the coverage. So Paul will cover in tomorrow and Thursday. I'll be back here. Friday night. But and I'll update the watch list. This is going to be a little update right now. We're going to kind of update you on this right now. But if there's anything that I come back, I'll do some research on Sunday and add any new setups on Sunday. So it might be a day late on that instead of Saturday. Or might even be Saturday. It depends on what day is best to get back to the office. But just to let you know on that. And that's about it. So this next part, we're going to go over the HPS setups. And if this cuts loose, that means, well, you're not watching it on the members site. All right, I almost forgot the most important part of the radar is the technical levels of the S&P. So let me do this little thing here. Again, this is what we looked like today. We had this actually 1, 2, 3 pattern. We bounced off of this level, pushed up, kind of got overbought, and then kind of slowly just kind of curled back down here on the 5-minute chart. Got a little bounce, but this was the key here. We had a little reversal candle pushed up here, and then we sold off pretty hard. We came down underneath that trend line. We broke down, and we kind of retraced a little. But you can see the 4 o'clock, we pretty much closed on the lows. Now, we're going to start off tomorrow with that 5-minute and an oversold level. Lots of times that does give us a little bias in the morning. I do believe that news is going to be the major factor here that's going to move this market. But I also want to show an important 60-minute time frame. And this is the key here, the 60-minute time frame. You know, we always talk about the 60-minute, wait for the 60-minute. 60-minute is now oversold again. Now, it could easily get embedded. It almost has the feeling that we're kind of flatlining here, but it's hard to say. We're waiting for to see if the 60 was going to rotate back here. Come on. Get rid of those. Sorry about that. And it was a kind of a slight little wedge pattern, this rising wedge pattern. So going in today, I didn't like this wedge pattern at all. We easily see this break down. Now, measured move out of that wedge pattern will bring us back down to that 2100 level, which is not that far down here. And it also sets us up for an impressive, what we call a, X marks the spot. And that's because this main pivot area here, a parallel trend line with this pivot and this pivot, will give us a target area down here, which comes back. That's pretty impressive. That might actually be a little bit under 20. That could be in that 2095 to 2097 area, which would really be good. So we're going to pay attention to that level too. I mean, that's an important level. I think it's a good shot. Again, news probably will be the catalyst in either way. So we have this nice trend line. That's a retracement. We have this wedge pattern. The wedge pattern, when we extend this down to a parallel channel, that's your measured move out of the wedge. And that's the wedge breaking down. Almost perfect again. The strongest pattern out there is that rising wedge, falling wedge pattern. Great pattern to trade. 60-minute time frame will give you bigger moves, but the 60-minute now is oversold. So that is something we're going to have to watch tomorrow. So let me add that to the video and send this out. And we'll get to the HPS watch list next.